Hello, everyone. It's Steve Williams with the CreditRepairShop.com, and I'm doing a credit report review for a uh, now she's a new client, but it was a potential client, and this is something that we do for all of the customers. If you can get your credit reports over to us, we'll do a review, and then we'll look at to see how we would go about attacking your specific situation. But something that we do that I think is different than other companies is that we look at the person's overall financial picture, because a lot of the problems that people have with their credit is really extensions of what's going on in their personal life. And so we're going to start off. Her name is Kesha, and we're going to start doing some of these live too once we get the technology put together here in the office, where we'll be able to listen to that person and hear the questions that they've asked, and how we went about asking the questions and getting the data that we need for their credit repair process. But her name is Kesha. She is 34 years old. She's a single mother with three children. Her job is she's an office and customer service help. Her income is 22,500 per year, and she gets $500 a month child support uh, for the kids. And her goals that she wants is she wants to buy a house, because obviously she wants to be able to secure a nice, comfortable place for her and her children, and a stable place and something that she owns, where she don't have to worry about the a landlord either increasing the rent or kicking them out because they want to sell the house or whatever. She wants to save for an emergency fund. Wants to save money for an emergency fund. She has zero saved for an emergency fund right now. She wants to take better care of her kids, be able to spend more time with them, not be frustrated with outside things like what's going on financially, what's going on with the father of the kids. She wants to get rid of that frustration. She wants to get her life back. She said that she feels like all she does is work, and that she's really just working to pay bills, that she's not being able to save money, not being able to do nothing. She basically just goes to work, comes home, cooks for the kids, take care of their needs, and then goes to church on Sunday. She tries to be a good uh, uh, church goer. She is looking at dating, has dated, but she's afraid because bringing a person back into her home, or even dealing with someone that could mess up the relationship that she has with her kids. She tries to go out, but she says she feels guilty when she does go out, because there's, number one, she says that she's spending money sometimes that she really shouldn't be spending, and that she feels that she needs to be home with the kids. Let's see. She's tried things to increase her income. She's tried some network marketing type things. There were some other business opportunity type things. She said that those just didn't work out. Ended up spending money that she didn't have. Let's see. She's scared of her job situation, because she said that when problems happen with her kids at school, or they get sick or whatever, she has to take days off of work. She feels that that's bringing pressure on her atmosphere at the job, when she's either heard rumors or talked to other people or seen what happened with other people that had that type of situation going on a lot. I asked her about retirement. What is she even doing about retirement, even though she's 34 years old? Has she started saving anything? She says she has not. She thinks about it, but her situation right now, she just can't even think about doing that. Financially, we got rent is $800 a month, groceries 500, utilities 300, gas in her car 100. She said the car is paid off, but it always needs repairs sometimes. Credit card $50 a month, and I said how much you spend on fun, like taking the kids to places, maybe to the movies or whatever. She said she only spends $200. When I added that all up, it was $1,950 per month in expenses, and her income, including the child support, is 2333 a month. So we're looking at having an extra $383 left per month. But when we went and I asked her how much does she have each month, she says she has no money. That actually she doesn't pay all of the bills each month, and so that means that even with that money there, there's other expenses that she either couldn't remember or didn't want to tell us about when we were talking about her financial situation. Also, when we looked at her credit reports, we saw that her spending was worse than what she had told us. And this is something that we hear a lot from individuals, is because they don't want to really know what their financial situation is. They're scared because they feel that if they know that picture, then that everything is gonna be worse. So what they usually try to do is just run from it. And I'm here to tell you that you can't run from your bills. They're gonna end up catching up with you. So step one, if you find yourself in this situation, you need to write down all of your expenses, and that's what we told her to do. We said go back. You got the starter list of what we talked about with you, but you need to go back, and you need to either, what you could do for 1 week or for 1 month, is write down all of the things that you spend money on. Just keep the receipts of everything that you spend money on. So if you get coffee, if you have lunch at work, whatever, you need to keep all of those receipts. And then at the end of the week, you tally that up so you can see that where your additional spending is going. And so we currently had her do that because we know that there's going to be a whole bunch of expenses that she either day to day or by the week that she's spending once she gets her paycheck. And then also, uh, when you get all of those expenses, you have to make decisions on what you're going to cut on that unnecessary. Look at all the unnecessary spending, and you're gonna have to make cuts on all of that, because the whole credit repair process is just not gonna work if you're not willing to take care of that side. It's totally impossible. So the next thing is that you have to make a decision to do something about your situation. A lot of people, they put one foot in the door to start fixing their financial situation, start fixing their credit situation, and then the other foot is still outside of the door. You have to step all the way in that door to start working on your situation. The first, well, the next step after you do step two, which is writing down all of your expenses and making that decision, the next step is step two, which we always run into this all the time. We ask people, what is on your credit reports? What is on there? People say, well, I know what's on my credit report. Well, let me just make one factual statement about that you need to let this sink into your head. It doesn't matter that you know what's on your credit report in your head. If you don't know exactly how it sits on your credit report, who either owns the debt if it was a collection, or who's collecting it for someone, the account number information, the date that was actually put on your credit report, exactly what are they stating about the situation, about that, the current balances, the starting balances. If you don't know all of that information, then you can't start working on resolving your credit, because they're going to disqualify you straight from the beginning when you attempt to do something about that. So if you don't have all of that data, there's nothing that you can do. So step two is you need to get copies of your credit reports. On either above or below this video, I have a link to a provider that we use, and you can get all three credit reports and some extra bonus information. But it's important because you're going to be able to know everything that's on your credit report, good and bad, all of your personal data, and if you have any public records information. So now, after we got her reports, after we got Kesha's reports, we found that there was a lot of things that she either didn't want to disclose to us, or that she just didn't know was on the reports. She had numerous late payments on for her utility bills. to the electric company. She had an repossessed automobile. She had 5 medical collections. She had 7 credit cards, and it was a mixture of credit cards and department store cards that were in collections. They were closed out and they were in collections. And she had 1 eviction on her credit report. So uh, that's the situation that she was in. And so the first step, I'm going to take these one by one on how we would be able to help her with this. Is that okay? When it comes to the late payments on the utility company, that is something that has to be specifically handled with the utility company. Do not challenge the late payments on your utility bills, because what we've seen is that they will tend to wipe out the entire account. So if you had good data on there for the months that you paid your payments on time, they'll just wipe out the whole thing, and then you'll have to start over with your utility information. Let me tell you why that's important, because if you ever go to buy a house, the first thing that the underwriters are going to look at is how you pay your utility bills. If you can't afford to pay your utility bills, how are you going to afford to pay for a house? So these are interconnections that they're going to be making, and if they see that you're late on them, at least you can have a track record of where you caught up on those late payments and show that you move forward on those, and then you had a good track record of the payments that you paid. But if you have a blanked out utility uh, where it just looks like you just started with your utilities, they're going to disqualify you when you go through the underwriting process. Now, for the repossession, what we would do is we would get the auction sale statement, review that completely, review the contracts to make sure that there were not any types of insurances that reassured if the lender, if the payment didn't go through. We see that a lot with the high interest auto loans. Make sure that the automobile wasn't sold for what was owed, and then make sure that all the documentation was transferred uh, the proper way, because if it wasn't done the proper way, even though the loan was not paid, they would not be able to legally go after her for that automobile, for the repossessed automobile balance. The next, with the medical collections, the first thing is that we would need to make sure that they had the permission to put that on their credit reports. 9 times out of 10, she did not sign any type of medical waiver to disclose any of her information to any collection agency to be placed on her credit report. So this information would be taken off her credit reports, but that does not make the debt go away. The next part is then to contact each of those companies to see if she's still legally obligated to pay them due to statute of limitations, or if any insurance is paid, or if she falls into any uh, if she falls into uh, any of the programs that allows her to get discounts on those medical bills, or to have those medical bills canceled out. Let me tell you about a situation that happened with a client that owed over $45,000 for surgery that he got done. There was a nonprofit organization, an actual church that worked with the hospital, and they said that if an individual showed that they were trying to pay off that bill or making payments towards it, that the church, they would step in and they would pay the remaining amount. And so I think out of the whole amount, he only had to pay a couple of $1,000s, and then they paid the rest of that balance off. And several organizations are working. It depends on what type of hospital it is, and some of the times it has to be a major surgery, and they might want to match your income that you're showing to see if you qualify. But these are options that are out there. But even if that's not an option, the next step, after they were validated and they were not under statute of limitations, and they were not paid by the insurances, then the next step would be to set up a settlement arrangement with those medical companies. And because we looked at what her income is, obviously at this time, she will not be able to make those payments. So the company would at least need to be notified that due to her financial situation, that she will not be able to start taking care of those now, but at a later date, she would be able to start making payments on those. Same situation with the credit cards. They need to be validated. Need to make sure that if they were sold, that all the proper documentation was passed through to the next owner of those debts. Make sure they're not statute of limitations. And then if they were, then the same situation would happen. And the reason why you want to do that with the medical, with all of those, you want to get a conversation going with them, is because they won't, if they know that you have financial problems, they're not gonna want to go to court and not be able to collect any of the money. So because you had that communication open, what you can do is just allow them to call each month and talk to you about the situation, or talk to whoever's handling it for you about the situation, and to let them know if your financial situation has changed, then you can start negotiating a payment arrangement with them. But if it hasn't changed, then it just gives you the ability to hold that company off where they're not going after and trying to garnish your wages. We also saw that she had an eviction on her credit reports, and the same thing would happen is that you would contact the landlord, see if something could be worked out on that eviction. 9 times out of 10, they never get any money when an eviction happens, so they're always open to doing a settlement on those. But currently, with her situation, because she's not able to do anything, that she would not be able to qualify to start making payments on those. So the two main goals right now would be, or the three main goals right now would be, to get the credit reports, see what needs to be done on the credit reports. She has to make that decision to start cutting expenses, and she has to stick to it. Also, look at different ways to increase her income, because if, no matter what, even when she starts to working on her credit, cutting the expenses is going to put more money in her pocket. But at some point, you're going to have to look at increasing income. And I'm not talking about where you go out there and get more student loans or stuff like that. I'm talking about sitting down with someone that's in business, and maybe look at some type of thing that you can do to get extra income. So now, if you would like to get help on your credit, we have a free membership program. You can click the link below, and it'll take you to the membership. I have tons of videos talking about credit, debt, collections, inquiries, all types of information, and we continually update it. Also, if you would like to get your report reviewed by our staff, what you'll need to do is to click the link to get your credit reports from our provider. Once you get them, you send it to us, and then we'll do a full review of your reports, and from that you'll know exactly what can and can't be done, and how it would need to be done, and you can make the decision on if you would want to do it yourself, or if you would like to have us do it. So I would like to thank you again for watching this video. This is Stephen Williams with the CreditRepairShop.com. Thank you.